Hello everyone from Gaziantep. First of all, I would like to thank Birgül, Doğa, and Benjamin for their invitation to this event. In my presentation, I will summarize the archaeological potential of Gaziantep and its surroundings. I will also try to explain the important results of excavations and surveys we have made in the region in recent years as the Gaziantep University Department of Archaeology. I will share my presentation. When we look at the location of Gaziantep, we see that the location in the northwestern part of the Fertile Crescent. The Fertile Crescent is the region where the first important cultures and civilizations of the human history emerged. The first settlements, the first production, the first cities, the first writing, the first organized trade, and the first states emerged in this geography. Gaziantep is geographically a part of Syrian plains and the eastern Mediterranean region. Anti-Taurus mountains in the north separate Gaziantep from the Anatolian plateau. For this reason, modern country borders should be ignored in archaeological evaluations. On the other hand, the east of Gaziantep is located in the northern part of the Middle Euphrates region. West of Gaziantep, İslahiye and Nurdağ Basin is located within the northern Levant corridor. There are very important archaeological sites in Gaziantep and its surroundings, some of which are being excavated, such as Dülük, Rumkale, Karkamış, Ziyukma, Zincirlihöyük, Tilmenöyük, Yesemek Sculpture Workshop, and Oylumöyük. The earliest excavations and surveys in the Gaziantep region began in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The monumental sculptural works of Karkamış, Sakçagözü, and Zincirlihöyük attracted European researchers to the region, and excavations and researches were carried out in these cities by Henderson, Hogarth, Thompson, Woolley, von Lushan, Pustein, Human, Garstang, and Wächter. After that, until the mid-1950s, not much archaeological research was carried out in the region. Between 1955 and 1972, the excavations and surveys of Bahadır Alkım and Handan Alkım from Istanbul University in İslahiye were important. The most extensive research and excavations in the region started in the 1990s. A significant part of excavations consist of salvage excavations in Karkamış, Birecik, and Doğanpınar Dam areas. Especially the mosaics and monumental structures unearthed in the ancient city of Ziyukma increased the interest in the region. Excavations have been continuing in Dülük, Zincirlihöyük, Karkamış, Ziyukma, and Oylumöyük since the early 2000s. These are long-term excavations projects. The results of excavations carried out in these sites reveal the importance of the region in the history of human culture throughout different periods. In addition, in recent years, rescue excavations have been carried out in Yesemek, Taşlıgeçit, and Hamaçhöyük by Gaziantep University and Gaziantep Museum in the vicinity of İslahiye district. Apart from the excavated centers, there are very important mounds such as Gaziantep Kalehöyüğü and Tilbaşar, which were excavated a short time but need to continue to be explored. The location of Gaziantep Kalehöyüğü is quite suitable for ancient Urşum, which was an important administrative center in the 3rd and 2nd millennium BC. However, the mound is quite small, and the medieval castle and galleries on it have severely damaged the layers of the mound. The mound elevation consists of citadel of the settlement. Possibly the lower city of Urşum must have remained under the modern Türktepe quarter to the west of the mound. The finds recovered from the foundation piece excavated in the modern settlements showed that the settlement in the lower city began in the pre-pottery Neolithic age. One of the most important mounds in Gaziantep is Tilbashar, near the town of Oğuzeli. Tilbashar is a large fortified urban settlement like Ebla in northern Syria, especially in the second half of the 3rd millennium BC and the first half of the 2nd millennium BC. Tilbashar must have been one of the important ancient cities mentioned frequently in written documents. Unfortunately, the mound has not been adequately explored yet, apart from short-term excavations. One of the important mound settlements in the region is Oylumöyük in Kilis, southwest of Gaziantep. The Oylumöyük excavation is a long-term project carried out by Gaziantep University. The mound is located on a fertile plain where the high Anatolian plateau ends and the Syrian plains begin. The mound is the largest settlement in the Kilis plain. Oylumöyük caught the attention of several researchers due to its general size and strategic location, and it is considered to be one of the most significant urban settlements of the Bronze Ages in the region. Recent works of the northwest of Oylumöyük enabled extensive examination of the 2nd millennium BC levels and confirmed beyond any doubt that it was an administrative center during that period. The settlement was surrounded by a fortification wall in the first half of the 2nd millennium BC. This wall is preserved up to approximately 4 meters high to the south of the mound. The traces of well-preserved monumental basalt fortification wall indicate that the settlement covered approximately 17 hectares at the end of the 3rd millennium and beginning of the 2nd millennium BC. The survey conducted in the fields surrounding Oylumöyük demonstrated that the settlement extended beyond its walls after the 18th century BC, and that accordingly the city reached at least 35 hectares in size. Oylumöyük is situated just north of the major trade road that extends from southern Mesopotamia towards the northern Mediterranean and which passes Aleppo. Oylum, probably located at the end of one of these crucial roads, can be considered a gateway to Syria, functioning as a bridge between Anatolia and Syria. The excavation in the northwest area of the mound identified 5 settlement layers dating back to the 2nd millennium BC. All 5 ended in destructive fires. Architectural and epigraphic evidence suggests that Oylumöyük was an administrative center in the Middle Bronze Age. The discovery of a lapis lazuli cylinder seal with cuneiform inscription, which belonged to Bitna, the deputy of the king, and an old Babylon tablet confirm beyond a doubt that it was an administrative center in the 2nd millennium BC. Archaeological finds indicate advanced metals, stone, bone horn ivory, terracotta, textile, olive oil, vitrified and faience industries other than agriculture and animal husbandry in the Middle Bronze Age. During excavation, the northwest section of large monumental building with a courtyard belonging to the Middle Bronze Age I was revealed. It is thought to be a palace according to architectural and archaeological finds. A part of the building has yet to be uncovered. The monumental building was supported by a brick terrace on its west and north sides and appears to be a huge complex that has come to an end in a fire destruction. Days of calibrated radiocarbon analysis conducted on olive seeds obtained from a cup within a cellar of the kitchen were in the Middle Bronze Age I. An old Babylonian seal impressed on a door bulla found in L-shaped room further helps with dating, and the structure which can be dated to the beginning of the 2nd millennium BC. The thick and high mud brick walls and staircase in room 5 indicate that the building had multiple stories. The presence of only rim pieces of pitos vessels in L-shaped room, together with burned skeletons of 2 women in a kitchen, suggests an attack and plundering. The building is similar to the traditional Syrian palaces with a layout featuring a series of spaces around the courtyard. It has a similar plan, especially with Ebla Western Palace, Tilmenöyük Palace, and Yarimli Palace in Alalah. Archaeological findings indicate that Oylumöyük was also an important administrative center in the Late Bronze Age. The most important architectural remains belonging to this period are those of a large building with a courtyard. The western section of this building, which extends in a northwest-southeast direction, was partially revealed. A stone-lined channel toward to the northern slope from the courtyard was particularly well preserved. The intensive use of wooden beams that are noticeable on the protected brick walls of the building on a stone foundations is more reminiscent of Central Anatolian Hittite architectural traditions than Syrian ones. The structure was razed by fire, and from it only a small section has been revealed. No artifacts other than ivory plaques that were probably used as furniture inlays or attachments, and foundations offering miniature vessels were recovered inside a room of the building. In the courtyard of the building, a few gold appliques were found. A Hittite cuneiform tablet and a large number of Hittite-style Anatolian hieroglyphic seals and seal impressions found in this layer strengthen the connection of the building with the Hittite administration in the 13th century BC. The Oylum tablet is a document sent to the local king by Great King of Hittite. Since the tablet is broken, we don't know which Hittite king the document belongs to. The Hittite king asked the local king to keep his soldiers ready for battle. The name of the broken local kingdom on the tablet was read by Ahmet Ünal as Nuhashe. According to the Hittite sources, Kuizila or Ukulsat is the capital or the most important city of the Nuhashe and an important military base that must be occupied in order to control northern Syria. The stem seals and conical clay bullae uncovered on the excavations belong to the administrators. The titles Pitos and Gishbansur, table decker, read on the 2 examples, belong to the executive class. The most important glyptic material is the bullae of King Initeshup of Karkamış, who ruled the Syrian region in the name of the Hittite Empire. Hittite Prince Initeshup, who ruled the region successfully for many years, is the grandson of the son of Şükrülüma I, grandson of Şarikushu, and son of Şaranuva. Along with Emar and Ugarit, Oylum is now the 3rd center where a bullae of Initeshup has been found. The Hittite tablet, as well as the Hittite royal seal and seal impressions, suggest that the Hittite kingdom had authority over Oylum, and it appears to have been controlled from Karkamış. Other important research of Gaziantep University consists of surveys and excavations carried out in Islahiye and Nurdağ in the west of the region since 2019. This region is located within the northern Levant corridor. This fertile geography, irrigated by Karasu River and its tributaries, has hosted important cultures and civilizations throughout different periods. The Karasu River is a northern branch of the Orontes River. The Levant corridor, bounded by Lebanon, Anti-Lebanon, Zawiya, Ansariya, and Amanos mountains, extending parallel to the Mediterranean, was a very important gateway between the ancient Near East regions and Eastern Mediterranean and Africa. This region was also the gateway of the ancient Near East to the world, with its port and trade cities such as Byblos and Ugarit. The north of the region is just as important as the south. Unfortunately, the northern Levant corridor has not been adequately explored. While more than 1,000 excavations and surveys have been carried out in the southern Levant corridor so far, the number of excavations in the northern Levant corridor has been only around 10 for nearly 140 years. During our research in the Islahi and Nurda regions, 110 archaeological centers belonging to different periods were identified and examined. These centers consist of mounds, top hill, flat and slope settlements, necropolises, castles, Paleolithic stations, old bridges, old quarries, ancient roads, caves, and various fine places such as stelae, inscriptions, and architectural items. The mounds show an uninterrupted continuity of settlement from the pre-pottery Neolithic age. Large mounds indicate that there were many cities and administrative centers in the region during the Bronze Age. The largest mound in the region is Songuru Söyü. Songuru is approximately 400 meters in diameter and 50 meters high. Must have been most important administrative center of the Bronze Age in the region. The basalt fortification remains preserved around some of the large mounds, indicate that the Bronze Age cities were surrounded by city walls. Especially on the mound settlements, many finds belonging to different periods from the pre-pottery Neolithic age to the Middle Ages were found. These consist of objects such as weaving weights, stamp seals, spindle whorls, terracotta figurines, arrowheads, miniature stone axes, bone owls, and coins. One of the works in the region is the short-term salvage excavations we carried out with the Gaziantep Museum at the end of 2019 at Hamamlar Höyüğü. Hamamlar is located within the Tahtaköprü Dam Reservoir area, approximately 3 kilometers west of Yesemek. The mound was submerged by the Tahtaköprü Dam, which was built on the Karasu River in 1977, but was recently resurfaced when the waters receded due to the efforts to raise the dam body. As the mound was submerged, the soil of the mound melted and thick layer of sand and stone piles of architectural remains were formed on it. The surface material belongs to different periods from the Middle Paleolithic age to the Medieval age. The mound, which was approximately 150 meters in diameter, remained at height of 2 meters. The upper settlement layers disappeared and stone foundation walls of a large and monumental structure built with large stones were exposed on the mound. The monumental building with a central courtyard is spread over an area of approximately 1 hectare. Excavations in the long rectangular rooms of the large building revealed that the building was probably a palace dating to the Middle Iron Age. The multi-story palace structure has 2 phases. Both phases ended with fire destruction. It was understood that the excavation lower floor spaces of multi-story palace served as a warehouse, cellar, weaving workshop, and kitchen. During the excavations, the basalt beds exposed by the water around the mound were examined. Some of the basalt beds seen in 7 different areas around the mound were used as quarries in the medieval age. In aerial photographs of basalt deposits, semi-round structures have attracted attention. There is no doubt that these structures were shaped by humans. Bench-shaped seating places in some structures have attracted attention. Since the area will be submerged again, three-dimensional LiDAR scans and plan drawings of all 7 areas were completed. The floors of the structures are approximately 50 to 70 centimeters below. The basalts at the base were leveled and small round pieces were formed on the floor. These small pieces, which are thought to be used for grain grinding, are seen on the floor of walls of almost every structure. It was understood that basalt structures were probably worked with more primitive stone tools, not metal tools. Some of the structures were cleaned with water and completely exposed. 2 structures filled with mud in 2 areas were excavated and unearthed by us. The building consists of interconnected semicircular, round, and angular sections. Unfortunately, no in-situ material has been found to help to date these primitive structures, as the structures were submerged for a long time and filled with mud. However, the burnt soot traces found on the floor of the north room of structure B1. There are sitting benches inside one of the structures that were unearthed. The carved floors have been carefully leveled. A rectangular stele slot and a basalt stele were unearthed on the floor of one of the spaces. Some of the steles are in the form of schematic idols. Primitive and semi-worked basalt steles with a length of about 3 meters were found in area G of Hamamlar. The basalt pit houses of Hamamlar are not known from anywhere. The closest similar of these structures are known from Shubayka 1 and Shubayka 6 in northeastern Jordan. Similar pit houses made of basalt unearthed in 2012 at Shubayka during excavations by Danish archaeologists are dated to the late Epipaleolithic Natufian culture phase. However, unlike the structures in Shubayka, they were built with basalt stones, not by carving the basalt bedrock. Dating to the pre-Neolithic age, the terrazzo building at Nevalachori in southeastern Turkey, with its benches and stele, surprisingly reflects that understanding of primitive Hamamlar structures. 1 month after the start of the excavations, Hamamlar was again submerged under the dam waters. It is a great chance in terms of the cultural history of the region that we found similar structures in 12 different places along the Karasu River during the survey. Excavations and researches to be carried out in these areas by prehistorians may reveal new and different developments that can change our knowledge of the prehistoric periods. One of the important aims of our research in Islahiye was to solve the problems related to Yesemek sculpture workshop, located approximately 25 kilometers southeast of Islahiye. The workshop in Yesemek, which one of the largest and oldest sculpture workshops in the ancient Near East, is spread over an area of 11 hectares. So far, 518 basalt sculpture drafts and blocks have been identified in the area. All research focused mainly on the sculptures in Yesemek. Although Yesemek has been the archaeological literature for about 140 years, the questions of which period it was dated, which political authority or which city it produced, why and what it was abandoned, have not been answered. In these studies, we investigated the findings that could solve the problems in Yesemek. We found these evidences in an unexpected place on the hills covered with forest to the east of the sculpture workshop. We identified basalt stone foundation walls just above the quarry. These walls are actually visible from the surface in many areas. Some walls are between 2 and 2.5 meters wide and quite long. Traces of fortification wall could be seen on the surface between the trees in the southwestern and northwestern slopes of the hill. On the northwest slope, the fortification wall can be traced up to 600 meters. Since the eastern part of the huge hill extending to the east is 350 meters higher, we named this part of the hill as the upper city. In the upper city, the architecture remains spread over a larger area. Due to the dense stony architecture, some areas are without trees. Similar wall traces are also observed in this area. In order to understand whether there are architectural remains under the ground, we conducted georadar and geomagnetic studies in 4 different areas in the forest and in the western olive groves. We found traces of monumental walls just below the surface in each area where we did these studies. We identified 2 new quarries in the upper city, except the quarry known in Yesemek. In this slide, you can see one of them, Çiçektepe, and the building basalt blocks. The known quarry should be used mostly for sculpture works, and the quarries in the upper city should be used mostly for walls. In the upper city, mortise holes and stonemason signs of the Hittite masters on some buildings blocks are remarkable. Mortise holes are very characteristic in Hittite architecture. One of the important finds on the Tapil settlement is a stone hammer. Such big hammers used for breaking stones are usually made of granite, which is harder than basalt, as in Tilmenöy. However, the Yesemek sample is made of basalt. This shows that there was a great need for stone hammers in Yesemek, and basalt hammers were also used in addition to granite hammers. We carried out XRF analysis studies on the stones and sculptural works of the architecture that we identified in the forest area. The results of the analysis revealed that all material is similar in structure to the samples of Yesemek sculpture workshop. The most important dating criteria for Yesemek sculpture workshop were the late Hittite gate lion and sphinx statues in Zincirli Saman. The Zincirli examples were thought to be of Yesemek origin. However, our material analysis showed that they didn't come from the Yesemek quarry. İslahiye and Nurdağ region has very rich basalt deposits. While there were many basalt deposits around Zincirli, the use of Yesemek quarry. While there were many basalt deposits around Zincirli, the use of Yesemek quarry 25 kilometers away does not seem to make sense, because it is easier to take sculptures than to carry tons of sculptured dress. During our survey on the hill, which is 3.5 kilometers long on its east-west axis, we discovered architectural remains and sculptural artwork which appear to be linked with Yesemek. Deep valleys border to north and south of the hill. The architectural remains on the hill seem to be spread over an area of 200 hectares. The size indicates a larger settlement than Hattusha, the capital of Hittites. In December 2020, a small-scale rescue excavations was started under the supervision of the Gaziantep Museum in the destroyed area in Çiçektepe location in order to confirm the georadar and geomagnetic results. An area in the forest that was previously destroyed by construction machine was chosen for salvage excavations. Our knowledge on the Yesemek settlement is still very new. The architectural remains scattered on the surface aside, it was very important to conduct short-term rescue excavations in Çiçektepe to unearth the architectural remains identified in the geophysical studies. In Çiçektepe, it was first worked in the area distributed by construction machine. Stones rolled into the stream bed by illegal diggers were examined one by one. The high concentration of pottery found in and around the destroyed area in Çiçektepe does not leave any doubt that the architectural remains and statuary date to the Hittite Empire period. The majority of pottery fragments belong to the forms well known from Hattusha, including placed bowls with inverted rims, bowls with carinated bodies, large flasks with everted rims, short-necked posts, and wide-mouthed pittori. Important finds have been found in this area before. One of these finds is a 27 centimeters long torso of a human statue with the Anatolian hieroglyph inscription God, which was discovered by a local resident in 1991. This also found in Çiçektepe location. A second fragment of a statue foot was found by the site guard Ali Çiçek in 2018. The XRF mineral analysis conducted by material engineer Ali Özer confirmed that both fragments belong to the same statue. Depicted in a standing position, the statue displays distinctive stylistic characteristics of the Hittite Empire period, such as the mountain god depictions and bullman figures. The Anatolian hieroglyph on the statue is also the style of the 13th century BC Hittite imperial age. An example of standing statue from the Hittite Empire period is known from Alacayük. Though the head of missing, the body of limestone Alacayük statue is preserved. In this area, we also found two relief fragments. While there is a depiction of possibly a shoulder on one of the relief pieces, the depiction of a leg can be observed on the other. The short skirt extension on the upper right part of the leg suggests that the relief may have belonged to a male figure with a short skirt. It is highly possible that the Çiçektepe reliefs were of a deity of royal figure with a conical head, short skirt, and pointed shoes. Depictions of deities, kings, or princes with short skirts on rock monuments are common in Hittite art from 13th century BC onwards. During the investigation carried out in Çiçektepe, two fragments of cubic basalt column base with rectangular recesses were found alongside the scattered building blocks. Such cubic basalt column bases were quite common in the region in the 2nd millennium BC. During the brief excavation period, stone foundation walls of a building that seems to be resting a terrace wall were unearthed. The terrace wall, which was built stone and mud mortar, was unfortunately destroyed by construction machines. The terrace wall on the slope created a flat ground for building. Terraces of this type are well known from the Hittite imperial age cities. It was observed that the approximately 2 meter thick walls were built on beds carved into the bedrock. Rubble and clay mortar were used in the foundation pit. The carved building blocks scattered during the construction machinery activity probably belong to the upper parts of the walls. Though currently incomplete, these studies have been important in confirming the geophysical results. The excavations we planned in Çiçektepe has not been completed yet. We expect to recover more finds and have a deeper understanding on these issues with the completion of the rescue excavations in Çiçektepe. According to surface findings, it is understood that this city was not completed. The fortification and building walls on the huge hill seem to have been left unfinished. Pottery shards, which are life signs, can only be seen in Çiçektepe location and in the workshop. This explains the fact that the sculptures were left in the workshop without being placed in the buildings. If the structures on the hill were completed, it is likely that the statues would have been placed in these structures. In my opinion, the temple of Ain Dara and Aleppo, the temples of Ain Dara and Aleppo were the regional forerunners of the monumental temple architecture, decorated with numerous statues prior to the collapse of Hittite Empire. These two temples, which seem to have also pioneered the Iron Age temples across the region, hold the most important clues about Yesemek. Excavated around the same time as Yesemek, the monumental temple at Ain Dara, located near Afrin, some 40 kilometers northwest of Aleppo, was found to contain more than 100 statues, most of which are lions and sphinxes. The closest administrative center to the Yesemek sculpture workshop and the discovered city is Taşlıgeçi. The Yesemek Köyü, just west of the workshop, is not a large enough administrative center to organize the Yesemek workshop and planned city. However, Taşlıgeçi, about 3 kilometers to the northwest, is an administrative center. During the rescue excavations carried out for 2 seasons in Taşlıgeçi, monumental structures of fortification walls contemporary with the Hittite Empire were unearthed. Unfortunately, the slopes of Taşlıgeçi were under the waters of Tahtaköprü Dam. However, we planned a 3-year excavation project here. We hope that the excavation and researchers in Taşlıgeçi will shed light on Yesemek as well. Although excavations and researches in Gaziantep and its surroundings have started since the end of the 19th century, our knowledge of the archaeology of the region is not yet sufficient. The excavations and researches to be carried out in the region will enable us to better understanding the archaeology of the region, especially the pre- and protohistoric periods. And thank you very much for your patience.